Hello, welcome to your program Identities Nyaradzo, your program that talks about your social, economic and political issues. Today on this show, we're going to talk about something very important to all of us, especially to women. We're exploring a topic that is dear to all of us. The president pronounced that Zimbabwe is open for business. We want to know what Zimbabwe open for business means for women especially. Join me to discuss this, my dear sister Tembi Nyoni Mpofu, a strategist, expert in policies. Dr. Helen Venganai Chirembabe Mabuku, all the way from Masvingo, representing her trust, Mambure Trust. Welcome, ladies, to this show.
Thank you very much.
Right. I think over the last few weeks, we've been talking about the citizens' dreams, where we've been exploring what the new dispensation meant for different citizens. We went to the grassroots, if you like. We spoke to young business people. We spoke to artists. We spoke to activists on these last weeks. We want to know what Zimbabwe being open for business for women, maybe even for the rest of the country, but maybe today we can focus on women. Sistembi, what does Zimbabwe open for business mean for women?
Thank you, Nyari, and thank you for this very relevant topic that you're bringing on board.
Thank you.
I think when we say Zimbabwe is open for business, for me what comes in mind is the fact that women have been in business for a very long time, but now their businesses need to grow.
Okay.
And they also need to grow and be part of strategic global businesses.
Right.
Because our president went to Davos to go and woo investors to come and work with us.
Right.
So now I think the question is, how do I move from being a small entrepreneur and a small player who is some backyard and grow and become a global player? So for me, Zimbabwe is open for business means businesses have got to grow and be significant.
Sistembi, what you say today resonates with what one of the young women that I had on the show a week ago, Sarafina, said. She said for her business open to Zimbabwe, or the new dispensation for her, is she's tired of being said a small or being given 20 chickens to start a business. She says for her, business Zimbabwe open for business is they want big projects. She articulated how young women have a desire to also export. I found that very profound. And for you to actually allude to that same fact, to say women have to be players, not just as being given small loans, but players in good, big manufacturing or trading, whatever it is that they're doing. But what is the realities of women being able to do that?
The realities today is that there are a lot of struggles. There are a lot of struggles which have kept a lot of women very in small enterprises.
Right.
But I think also the other major gap is lack of economic intelligence. How are big businesses structured?
Right.
How do I get into strategic partnerships without losing out?
Right.
How do I move into commercializing whatever it is that I'm doing so that it becomes something that is significant? I think we have concentrated a lot in looking into the domestic market and being players in Zimbabwe. And with all the problems that we have had, we've been so much inward looking and happy with just surviving. Yet there's a whole global market where we can get into and become major players.
Uyazi ukhuluma lami kathesi ukhuluma kanje ngiyazibuza mina ukuthi njenge citizen yeZimbabwe, njenge entrepreneur, njengomuntu omutsha weZimbabwe lapha, ngiyakwanisa njani ukuthi ngiyenze khona okukhulumayo kuyini kumele ngikuyenze ukuthi lami ngibe yi-player phandle lapho?
I think ekuqaleni we need to understand the opportunities that we have that
Right.
have not been tapped.
Right.
And there is a lot more that we have. Just a friend now was showing me the list of the minerals that are in Zimbabwe.
Right.
We hardly know what we have in our own backyard. I think the
Right.
starting point is to slow down, give ourselves time,
Right.
just to get somebody who's an expert, for instance, in the mining sector.
Right.
Simply come and explain. Because our training and our education helped us to be good workers.
Right.
It didn't teach us to be owners of meaningful enterprises. And therefore, we have been happy to be great administrators. You
Right.
put me in a workplace and I'm given instruction and I go ahead and do whatever is there. But I don't think about the opportunities and how I can commercialize these opportunities. So the first point of call is we need to get ourselves taught and get more economic intelligence around the opportunities that are there.
To you, Dr. Helen, what does it mean? What does Zimbabwe open for business mean for the young women?
Thank you, Nyari. I think what I'm going to say will just complement what Sisi Tembi has just said. Because I think we now need to think outside the box from our
Right.
comfort zones.
Right.
So as young women, we now have to go beyond the traditional kind of things.
Right.
So we are getting into those careers or those industries
Right.
that have been reserved for men, so to speak.
right.
Because there are a lot of opportunities that are coming. There's a lot of support out there
Right.
that is for young women, but young women may not even be looking in those places.
Okay.
So I'm talking here through the issues around technology,
Right.
information.
Right.
Actually, there's a lot of information, but
Online, there's
online,
a lot
yes,
of opportunities now online.
exactly.
Right.
Yes, so we do have that information, but people are not tapping into it.
Okay.
So we are always online.
Okay. On
s-
Facebook.
Yeah, sending
And
pictures.
even Facebook, actually, we don't know how to commercialize our existence
Whatever that
on
we are
Facebook.
doing.
Right.
Yes. So we are saying, okay, besides the pictures that we are sending of ourselves and the selfies,
Yeah.
let's also look at how we can use social media, how we can use any other information that we get on the internet to our advantage to kind of tingati kutanga mabusinesses iwayo atiri kuti ndokusiri kupinda vanhu, because the reality is those businesses which are occupied mainly by men are the ones anounza
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Dr. Helen Venganai here telling us about what opportunities are in technology, in mining, and what it means for young women, for Zimbabwe being open for business. Viewer, join me in the next segment. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers, to this program, Identities Nyaradzo, your program that talks about your social, economic, and political issues. Today, we're talking about how Zimbabwe being open for business means for young women. I was talking to Dr. Helen Venganai earlier on, and she was telling me about the opportunities that are existing within the tech industry and linking it with other opportunities. I want to know more for a young woman who is in the rural communities, for a young woman who is, because I think more than 65% of our people are living in some poverty of sorts. How do I access those opportunities as a young person?
Okay, so here I think I'm going to sort of pose a challenge to other women like us. Because already there are access issues, information access issues, which
Right.
are a problem for the rural communities.
Right.
We are talking about technology.
Yes.
But when we actually look at the infrastructural development in Zimbabwe around that area, we are really found wanting. There's really a lack of technology
Right.
access in those
Is
areas.
this a women's issue? It's a government, it's a broader issue.
It is a broader issue, but we are saying right now we also need to get women to come on board when we talk about businesses, including the rural women. Why are we really focusing on women? In my opinion, I think if you look, maybe traditionally, it was the role of the men
Right.
to take care of the family.
Yeah.
but circumstances are changing. And you look at the unemployment rate that is there.
Right.
And people now, as partners, as husband and wife, they have to help each other.
Right.
And that means also the woman has to come from the kitchen to go to business.
Imimi, Dr. Helen, would you say you actually know what it means for Zimbabwe being open for business at this particular point? And what opportunities lie in there for you?
Yes, so this becomes a multi-sectoral thing because we do have,
Right.
like I'm saying, we
Yes.
as the women maybe in different sectors,
Right.
we form another part who can also get that information out there.
Right.
And then we also have the government through, we have even, stronger structures within
Right.
the rural communities. So instead of us just talking about Zimbabwe is open for business
Right.
within the Hararian context or
Right.
within the urban context,
Yes.
how much are we doing to take that information to go maybe ku hall iri kumusha kuti todeedza madzimai zvechokwadi nyaya iripo nyaya iripo ndeyekuti zvino tinoda kuti mabasa edu ange achienderera mberi. I mean, women there, they may be doing fabulous work, but aisvike kwatiri kunoku. So we
Right.
need that information exchange.
Representation of what's happening with the women and where we are right now. Sister Mbi, what Dr. Helen is actually saying is very, very profound. The component of underrepresentation of the efforts of rural women. Well, they are not, I remember Sis Nyaradzo actually saying, Nyaradzo Gumbonjwande at one point, she was like, no, they are not rural women. They're just women who find themselves in the rural context. So there are women who are living in rural communities who, or maybe let's just say communities who are living there. What, first of all, are you as Sister Mbi knowledgeable, comprehending what it means for Zimbabwe being open for business as a woman? What does it mean for you? What opportunities or threats lie in there? Can you then be able to say, I articulate them to my next fellow women who are living in rural communities or who are living even in low income earning or even within the affluent? Do we know what's really happening?
I think government has made some efforts
Okay.
to bring out documents and
Right.
let us know, and these have been well shared, I think, through social media, through the TV.
Maybe if you can articulate some of the documents to
I think
the
just
government.
before the president went to Davos, there was a great investment document.
Okay.
I have seen stuff on farming, command farming. I have seen quite a number of these
Right.
documents. And I think they are available, but I think there's need then for more effort in actually bringing them down to everybody, because we already know that not everybody.
Who does that effort? Where does that effort come from?
First and foremost, we have a parent ministry, which is the Ministry of Women's Affairs.
Yeah.
And I would like to believe that they are leading that process. But I think all of us, civic society, and everybody has a part to play.
Right.
The churches are one of the greatest opportunity or institution that I think we underutilize in terms of being able to reach out to everybody. In almost every community, you'll find a church of some different kind.
sorts, yeah.
And I think these are vehicles that can be used to bring about and disseminate information. And this needs to be done by all of us.
Right.
And then secondly, I think we need to be doing two processes at the same time. One, disseminating information, but also lobbying for women to actually have a stake. And
Right.
also get government to be accountable, to say, when you have a facility, when you have an opportunity, who is accessing it? What percentages of the Zimbabwean population have accessed? How many women, how many men, how many young, and how many old? So that we can know who is not accessing
Right.
this particular opportunity that is there. For any country to have part of its population
Right.
not actively engaging and tapping to any resource that is available is
Right.
detrimental to that country's economy. And I think we need to ensure that we bring everybody and leave nobody behind now that Zimbabwe is open for business.
Ladies, thank you very much for this amazing information. Welcome back, viewers, to this segment of Identities Nyaradzo, your show, where we are talking about Zimbabwe being open for business, what that means for women. Sistembi, when we went away, before we went away, you were telling us about how government has shared a lot of documents, a lot of this, that are the sticking question that many people have been asking. When we're talking about Zimbabwe being open for business, where are we locating the citizens? There's going to be exploitation of minerals by foreigners. There's going to be a lot of investment coming in. How are we ensuring, first of all, that the investment is staying for the citizens? Number two, how are we ensuring that there is not looting? And probably, how are the citizens, the locals, benefiting from that?
That's a mouthful, Nari, which I think the Minister of Finance needs to answer. But what I would see as desirable is the fact that as Zimbabweans, ourselves, we need to form companies that are already tapping into these opportunities. So that when
Sorry, Sistembi, there's been the mention of ease of business, mainly for the outsiders. How is ease of business when you're talking about us forming companies in that context?
Right. And I think it's important for us to have companies that are operational, and there have been efforts, once again, by government to improve the ease of business.
For
and I think
locals, that is.
that consciousness is already there, and I think it would be unfair to give a blanket assessment, but I am aware that some areas have actually reduced the numbers of days that are needed to get certain documentation. The goodwill is there. I think we're at a place where the policy has said the right thing. But now...
Which is the policy? Because the question is there a policy that's addressing the ease of doing business for locals? That is my question.
I am aware that like local authorities have already had some policy instrument and also have been trained and have been asked to reduce, for instance, the time it is taken to submit papers, to get a license. So I think there's a lot that is happening and a lot of goodwill that is there. And we trust that momentum will continue. I think what remains is for citizens themselves to say, if you find that there's a blockage, surely we've been told that our president has an open door policy. We should go back. But I think there's a good atmosphere, there's a good commitment to making it all happen.
Sustainable development requires that when we are extracting right now, when we are developing, we are thinking about the next generation. We just don't get excited and get investment for the now and get our jobs wherever we are wanting, and then forget about the next generation in terms of securing minerals, securing the resources that we have. Dr. Helen, what is your response?
In as much as we want foreign investment, as much as we want external people to come and also start business in Zimbabwe, we should not forget to empower our own people in terms of businesses. And I think it also needs to take the commitment from government and other private sectors to also channel funds towards empowering the locals, because it's not everyone that will have the financial resources. We're talking about the rural populace. Those people, they may have brilliant ideas, but they don't know how to start because they don't have the finances. So we need to put up mechanisms so that we can also empower our own. And also, while at that, also talk about our accountability and ensuring that if those funds are availed, they're actually getting to the right people.
Exactly.
Yes, so we need to now sit down and say, okay, so what can we put in place to see that this money has actually gone to the right people?
And I think the sensing that I'm having from Dr. Helen, from the last statement that you've just made, is that maybe when you talk about mechanisms to make sure that the locals are empowered, maybe we need a program, a rolling out of a program that is focusing on the locals. As much as System B, you have spoken about the investment, the international, we love that. We want jobs. Oh my God, everybody is excited and ready for the infrastructure development, for development, jobs and everything. But we don't want to forget who we are. We don't want to forget our tomorrow. You spoke about the existing policies. Would you speak about anything maybe that speaks about the rolling out, maybe the mechanism that Dr. Helen has spoken about, to say we are thinking about Zimbabwe being open for business? How are we protecting resources? How are we encouraging the locals to participate? You spoke into the ease of business, but in terms of making sure that especially the rural folks, and maybe linking everything into what has been happening, the existing little projects or projects that are on the ground.
From what I have been observing, there's been an openness to dialogue in different sectors.
Right.
Where the locals themselves get to know the information and they speak out and say what are the mechanisms that they need to see in place.
Right.
And I think that's a very good move.
Wow.
And what then needs to happen is that there's got to be expediency in then doing all the things. By the way, nothing is new. I think people have been saying that there are bottlenecks in different sectors.
Right.
But I think our government maybe was not listening hard enough. Now that people are being asked once again to articulate what it is that they want done, what we need is expediency in implementing. Because
expedience in implementing.
Because there are a lot of opportunities that are lying idle.
Thank you. Dr. Helen.
Okay, so I just want to say, in looking around, when we say Zimbabwe is open for business, we need to continue to ask ourselves, who is going to benefit when Zimbabwe opens for business?
That is the question.
And in what ways? Yeah. Because we do not want to reproduce employees. We want to also create employers outside, out of our own local people.
There's been mechanism that the former regime had put in place, for instance, the 49% share ownership. Without making foreign investment difficult, how do we create the balance to continue protecting our interests? Ladies, your parting shots.
We need to be organized ourselves as Zimbabweans and be able to work together.
Right.
Because within us, we still have a lot of resources.
Right.
If we employed some of the resources that we have and already established viable companies, when foreigners come, they don't come to a ground zero.
Right.
They already find some
Zimbabwe is so capacitated.
Established enterprises, and then they bring in some expertise that's not there. So we need to be working together and mop up all the resources that we have and start doing a lot more than we've been doing in the past.
Wow, great. Thank you, Sister.
And I would also want to say that we also need, in as much as we are excited about people coming into our country to give us business, let us also look at the communities in which they are going to set up their businesses, particularly in mining. So you find that area is still where the mine is set. We still have the surrounding community becoming even more impoverished. They are moved to other places, and we are not considering and taking care of those people. So we need to create that balance. While we need money and investors, we also need the dignity to protect the dignity of our own population.
Wow. You heard it, viewers, from the experts themselves. I think the key message that's coming out is the protection of the citizenry, the protection of the locals, but also the participation of the locals, the assertiveness of the locals to say, don't just wait, don't just complain, go out, grab opportunities, lean in, find where things are happening, go out and find. But most importantly, for government to remember mechanisms in this moment to engage the rural communities, to engage the low-income earning communities, to make sure that we are tapping into already existing initiatives, and also most importantly that as we are inviting the world to do business, let's do business as Zimbabweans. Until next time, this is bye for now.